Welcome to the Mental Alchemy channel. My name is Ekaterina Sophia, and this is Alchemy of Change practical class. Originally, I wanted to do a short video on change and break up all the other topics, but as I was putting the slides together, the class evolved, and now we have a number of different topics that I believe should be done in one go if possible. For this class, you can have a pen and paper and write down the answers to the questions. Alternatively, you can answer them in your mind. There isn't a journaling practice like there was in the Alchemy of Manifestation practical class. So today we will be covering the introduction, know yourself, what is change, what is your relationship with change, what level of support do you need to go through change, decision making, areas of growth, change and challenges, resistance, surrender and moving forward, flow, action and acceptance, get your strategy from God, ultimate path is love. Once again, welcome to the class. I believe that you will find what I present here useful. That is my aim, to open up new perspective and explain everything as detailed and as useful and simple as possible. So let's begin. We're looking at the topic of change. If you do the same things, you can only get the same results. The same actions can give the same results. Often people, although this point seems very, very obvious, but often people, including myself, decide to make a change, however, don't do anything differently and get upset that the result is the same. Whether it's changing the relationships with people. For example, if you wish to have better experiences when you go out with your friends and not feel drained or down after particular experiences that you have with them, and then the next invitation you get to go to a place that you know you're not going to enjoy, you say yes because you don't want to feel left out or be rude or whatever. Of course you're going to feel drained and horrible afterwards. The same way, if you don't want to have an allergy reaction, or you're trying to be healthy and fit, or you don't want to make bad decisions after you're had a drink or something like that, but then you still eat that food and drink that drink and put yourself in the same circumstances, you are going to get the same results. The same as putting yourself in the same environments. Those environments are unlikely to give you a different result, even if you sometimes show yourself from a different perspective. The only way to get different results is to change something, or maybe even everything. So as we have been talking about it already, you must change something. And that something is the decision making, the mindset. So what you eat, what you do, what you say yes to, where you go, how you see the world, what opportunities you choose to notice and accept, and what opportunities you choose to ignore. Usually the bigger the goal you have, the more change you will need to undergo yourself and introduce into your actions. So if your aim, your goal involves your life looking very different to what it looks like right now, or you yourself as a person, looking very different to what you look like right now, then both you as a persona and what you do, your actions, your decisions, both will undergo the change. Because if the person that you are now and the choices that you make and the actions that you do now would be right for your goal fulfillment, you would have already fulfilled that goal. Who you are now is fit to what you have and how your life is going exactly now and the results that you're getting. And so in order to attract, create, bring into being your goal, you must become the person who is energetically aligned to this goal. Your actions must be in alignment to facilitating the creation of this goal and the upkeeping of it. Your decisions must be aligned to the reality that you wish to have. Reaching your goal involves change, so it makes sense to understand and to have a good relationship with it. We're talking about all the same topic, change, from different perspectives. And it's important to cover it from all the different angles so that as you move forward towards your goal, you are able to understand what is happening to you and take charge of what it is that you need to change in yourself so that you are not disappointed when you're not able to match the energy of your goal, or you are not able to deal with what happens as you become the person who achieves this goal. For me personally, I know that a transformation carries a lot of endings, and this means that you can't bring certain people along who don't want to be aligned to the change. And that can be very sad as you naturally start to grow apart because your interests don't match, or maybe they don't even approve of your new lifestyle changes, or you don't have anything in common. So it's very good to have a good understanding of all the different aspects of what change involves and build a strong relationship with it, so that even if loss happens as part of the change, you're able to heal and move forward. As you purify your motive, be ready to purify your heart. This is, of course, true mental alchemy, true alchemy of turning yourself into the highest, purest version of yourself. It's what we spoke about in the previous practical class, Alchemy of Manifestation Alchemy, where you need to have the energy of your goal coming from a higher vibrational power. It needs to come from a place that's beyond your current reality, if that is what you're going for, of course. It needs to be aligned to service and to good. And this can all be summarized as purity of motive, that your motive in what you're creating, your motive in what you're changing, comes from a pure place. So if you want to have a fit body, the purity of motive would be because you want to be healthy, not because you want to seduce other people's husbands or wife, for example. And so as you purify your motive and you wish to be of service, if you want to create some goods and they carry purification, transformation of pollutants of our planet, or some kind of tools that make people's lives easier, and you start working with this, you need to be ready that the change will come within you to match this, a more pure way of working. Especially if before you were aligned with something that maybe is not of pure motive. You were doing work that maybe is not for the highest good of the people or highest good of the planet in order to survive, and that's absolutely fine. There is no judgment at all. We are all at different stages and we may remain there, and we can still receive a lot of good and give a lot of good at whatever stage we're at. But if you purify your motive, you will also automatically engage in the purification of your heart. And that is probably the biggest change that we can undergo. And we will go into many classes and videos about this in the future, about how to move forward through past and make peace with the past, and how to open your heart, and how to feel safe to love and live from an open door to love. Socrates, the philosopher, famously said, "Know yourself." Self-knowledge is a process of improving yourself and becoming the kind of person that could know him/herself, and as a result, becoming responsible for yourself and your actions. If you know that you don't like the results you are seeing, then you know that something must change. To know what to change, you must first understand what is happening on all levels, meaning externally as well as internally. Only then you can see clearly what the root cause of the result is, and decide on a strategy to fix the root cause and get new results. Often we take action, or rather we react and make decisions from our reactions. And most people do not then stop to think, what was it? What was the root cause that made me take this action? What was the root cause of my decision? And it's very difficult to be responsible for yourself and your actions if they simply take place without you knowing where they came from. What is the root of them? And that's especially in change, that is a key to success, key to succeeding in achieving what you want, is to know yourself. Because if your goal is one particular thing and your decisions simply cannot align to it no matter how hard you try, because your responses are different to what you would like them to be, then only by discovering the root cause, where are these reactions coming from, can you introduce new actions through healing. And here on this channel we will cover many healing modalities and have many more classes that will help you go deeper. But for now, you can begin to investigate and notice your reactions and actions, and think about your decisions and know how you act, who you are, and take note of it. And then see, are those decisions, are those reactions aligned to the person that you imagine, that you know yourself to be when you have achieved the goal that you wish to have. So for example, if you wish to be a loving husband or wife who's supportive and understanding, but every time something goes wrong you go into extreme criticism or even rage, then you're not able to achieve your goal, and a lot of good work can be undone in those moments. And only understanding what the root cause of this reaction is and healing it can assist you to change. Self-awareness, self-realization, reprogramming the subconscious mind. What is change? Of course you know what change is, but for the purposes of transformation, of mental alchemy, of self-realization, we will interpret the true meaning of change as realignment to the truth. Realignment to the truth of who you truly are. The repentance to the wrongdoing, to the unhealed state, and alignment to the healed state. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, goes as far as to say that we are all fully healed, and we simply return to our healed state as we undergo the changes. What is your relationship with change? Do you resist change? Do you accept change? Do you have self-sabotaging behaviors where change seems to simply resist you? These are quite big topics, and we will look further into them, and both resistance, acceptance, and self-sabotaging behaviors will have many classes of their own. But think of some examples of where you were faced with circumstances that forced you to change, that forced you to become someone different, that took you outside of your comfort zone. Perhaps you met a new group of people you were not ready to meet, were faced with difficult decisions that affected you and others. How did you behave? Did you simply accept the circumstances? Did you deny and resist it? Or did you self-sabotage, creating an environment whereby you could avoid the changes in front of you altogether? What level of support do you need to go through change? This is a very important question to know about yourself. Do you need to have peace and quiet, certain self-care rituals, emotional support, emotional stability, guidance from somebody you trust or somebody who has been through it before. Simply knowing that you have someone there, someone to approve of your choices. Are you ready to create a good environment for yourself to move forward gracefully? I hope your answer is yes, but how? Well, you can answer how by looking at your answers of the questions above. If you have answered them honestly and have thought about them, then you will start to know what kind of level of support do you need as you move through change. How are you likely to react, and how are you able to avoid this reaction or speak to yourself honestly, saying, oh no, this is just a self-sabotaging behavior, or this is resistance. Oh, as I accept the change, am I setting proper boundaries to move forward correctly? And so on. As before, of course, we will go into this topic more and more throughout the classes on the Mental Alchemy channel. This is arguably the most important slide of the class, decision making. Decision making ability and quality is the driving force of all change in your life. Your decisions are what have led you to where you are now and will lead you to where you are going. You must understand that no matter what circumstances life throws at you, no matter what tools or resources you have, ultimately it's your decisions that move you forward. It's your decisions that create your reality. Teeny weeny small decisions that you make every moment of your day that create a whole lifestyle and direction, or big decisions that you make to determine which environment or direction your life is heading in. So it is very important to understand how you make decisions, and are you actually happy with your decision making? What is your mental process when you decide? Do you just act, or do you overthink? Are you willing to take risks, or do you wish to stay in the safe zone? How easily are you influenced by others? How can you surround yourself with better influencing factors? What are the core values that are driving your decisions? How do you deal with the stress of taking action outside of your comfort zone? These are some of the key questions that you can ask yourself to begin to connect to your decision-making process. This is very much linked to the topic of knowing yourself, understanding what are your core values, what are your beliefs, what are your wants, how are they influencing the decisions that you make. Who are you surrounded with? Who are your friends? How do they speak? What television programs do you watch? What internet do you watch? What do you read? What are your colleagues like at work? What kind of work do you do? And how does that influence your decision in your everyday life and your bigger decisions? Are you living from the decision-making strategies of your family or your surroundings, because the stress of taking action outside of your comfort zone is just far too big for you? If so, who are you really? And if you know yourself, would you be making these decisions? Would you still want to stay within the programs that you believe that are the only way? After answering the questions to the right of this slide in your mind, write down some key ideas that you can implement in your decision making straight away. Practice your ideas on small everyday decisions. Be empowered to lead your life with greater understanding of self. So after thinking about these questions that are written down and how I have described them, think about some strategies that you can implement, some actions that you can take, some thoughts that you can introduce every time you make a decision. Are you going to have a coffee or a cup of tea? What are you going to wear? Where are you going to go? Who are you going to spend time with? Start to understand yourself. Learn, what are you deciding? Are you just taking action because that's the normal thing to do? Do you have a special reason for something? If you are in control of this decision now, and before you were doing it thoughtlessly, is this a decision you actually want to continue with? And ultimately, do your decisions bring you closer to where you want to go or further away? Are your decisions aligned to your higher truth, or do they take you in the opposite direction? I wanted to add this slide just to remind you about the Manifestation Alchemy class. If you haven't done that, I really recommend that you do it. And you can skip to the 26 minutes 59 seconds in the description box of that class. I believe you can just click on the link and it will take you right there to do a life review questionnaire, or have a look at your previous answers, or you may wish to redo it again to see if there has been any changes. I'm not going to read out all the questions. You can pause and have a look at them. All the questions are read out in the Manifestation Alchemy class with all the explanation. But I wanted to bring in this topic here so that you are reminded of the different areas you have in your life that will change as you achieve your goals, as you move forward, or may change. You and yourself, your values and possessions, communication, family and home, recreation and creativity, health, partnerships relating to others, transformation, purpose, goal, community, spiritual development. So this is just my preferred breakdown, but there are many different areas of life's charts you can look up on Google or look in different psychology theories, whichever way you prefer to break down your life. But it's good to be aware of the different areas of your life and that they're likely to undergo change, or which areas will undergo change as you change and evolve and reach your goals. And you may need to adapt different strategies to deal with the changes. So for example, your family and home may need a completely different strategy to your work or to your health or communication, or they may be related. Change and challenges. Be ready, challenges will come. that is the nature of growth. Just like a tree that is first a seed must undergo through all the adversity of the growth process to become the tree, you too must go through all the challenges to achieve your goal. It is simply the nature of our reality. You can even look at all the fairy tale stories and success stories of real people and all the things in our lives that we like in entertainment, whether it be video games or challenges. We undergo a difficult situation in order to change and become something better, in order to receive this reward. And so at the time when the challenge comes, you may not be so happy about it. But if you are ready for the challenge to come, in a good way, not that you're sitting there scared, but you know that you are starting to undergo change. You are working towards a goal. It's inevitable, no matter how small or big. And the challenge comes and you don't like it, but you remember that is part of the journey. It is much easier to have the right mindset, to keep going, to overcome it. To know that if there is a challenge, then there must be a solution. That is how to be ready, is to upgrade your mindset, to know that there is a solution. In one way or another, you will succeed if you keep going. Be flexible. Free yourself from attachment to outcomes. Yes, you have a goal, you have a vision, but you must be free from the attachment to the outcomes. Why? It is a good idea to have a vision, but it is important to be open to take advantage of opportunities that are even better than you imagined. The outcome may be completely different to your initial vision. It might be much, much better. It might be just different because the circumstances have changed. It might be a little bit less amazing than your initial vision, but it doesn't matter because you still succeeded. And so be flexible, don't be attached. Enjoy the creativity in a childlike play. Look for solutions. When change and challenges happen, look for solutions. Don't complain. Look for solutions. Look for the positives that are there. If you complain, then you reinforce that pain. You're speaking to your brain, telling it that it's painful to continue. It's not pleasant to continue. I love a whinge sometimes, but it's not good. It's not good for me. It's not good for you. It's not good for anybody. Look at the positive experience. Don't be fake. Journal about it. Put your pain down. Set your pain aside and look for solutions. Be solution orientated. Be grateful. Gratitude is a very similar feeling to joy. I think it's the same feeling to joy. I mean, just practice now. Be thankful for something. You will automatically start to feel a little bit joyful. Think of other times that change of direction worked in your favor. So sometimes, most of the time, if a challenge arises, which may even prevent you from moving forward with your vision at all, and can force you to rethink your vision, it can turn out to be in your favor. And maybe you have some experiences of this, or you can read stories or get inspiration from other places where a person misses the train or the bus and then there's some terrible accident, God forbid, or something like this. Or the market succeeds and grows and goes really high up in the new venture that you begin rather than the other one. So be open to see the positive and look for solutions when challenges arise. Resistance, surrender, and moving forward. These can be in order, they can happen in this order. Resistance. It is normal to experience resistance to change. The new experiences carry with them unknown risks, and our mind tries to protect us from these risks. Various self-help techniques can be used to overcome this block, which we will cover in future classes. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's a title of a book which I read many years ago, and I recommend to everybody. It's a great book which shows case studies of different people who are very successful in whatever field they decide to be successful in, and they all feel fear, they all feel the resistance, but they do it anyway. So that's one of the techniques that you can use. And yeah, understand it's normal to have the resistance. Sometimes the resistance can be your intuition that's actually telling you no. And that's why it's important to know the difference between resistance of you resisting change and your intuition telling you no. And how do you figure this out? You've got to know yourself. You've got to investigate the feelings that you have, the difference in the voice within, to know the difference between intuition and resistance to moving forward. Surrender. It is best to surrender to the changes taking place. Surrender to the new self emerging. Surrender to the new way of life. Accept the losses and celebrate the wins. As we spoke about this in the introduction, as you change and evolve and you become a different person, your life starts to perhaps improve, God willing, and things around you change. There will be losses. There will be wonderful relationships that you loved so much and treasured that simply fall away because you're not in the same place anymore. You may be criticized. You may feel very lonely until you're able to re-establish new connections. And you simply have to surrender. Surrender is to accept, is to give up what you want to hold on to because it's not sustainable in your new reality, and trust and have faith and hope that you will feel better in the end. I know that many people who win the lottery, who come from a working class background, or who become rock stars, who come from a working class background, in many stories, you can look this up, lose all of their fortune, usually quite quickly, because they're simply not able to adapt. They're not able to surrender to the new self, to the new way of life. They're not able to accept the losses and transform into somebody who they've become now, to have the opportunity they have and to celebrate their wins. And it's simply easier to go back to a place that they were and the status that they were and be surrounded by what is familiar. So the lesson here is surrender to the changes taking place. Moving forward, The ultimate aim is to move forward. Moving forward is more than just taking action or even seeing progress. It is the ability to forgive. Die to your old life and self. Enjoy new experiences without any reminiscing of the past. Moving forward is no longer living in the past or longing for a better future. It is being in your best days right now, no matter the circumstances. Flow, action, and acceptance. They're not necessarily in a particular order, although usually you can do them in this order, and they happen cyclically as you keep on going into the flow, taking action, accepting what is, letting go, going into the flow, or maybe they happen all at the same time. Flow. Get into the flow. What has been in the flow? I'm sure you've been in the flow many times. Maybe you don't call it that. It's when you get lost into a task and time just either goes very slowly or very fast and you're just having a great time, or the day just falls perfectly, or you know exactly what to do and you create this great masterpiece and write everything that you want to write in a flow, or you feel really inspired and you're able to get the right idea. The flow can be anything. Ultimately, it's a state of this alignment of divine inspiration, of you being in alignment with your creativity, with your higher self, with your higher purpose, with a higher mind. It's best to get into that flow before you take action. Sometimes, of course, you just have to take action, but we should try and live in the flow if we're going to practice mental alchemy. Practices that get you into the flow. Prayer is very, very important because it changes your vibration. It moves you into a different state of mind that's outside the material world. So that's a great way of getting into flow. Meditation also changes, if done properly, breath work. All of these kind of practice changes your wavelengths to be in this high vibration. Inspiration, reading inspirational, motivational material, watching it, creativity, doing some drawing, doing some dancing, cooking, whatever creativity is for you. Being in nature. Nature also changes our internal state. Fitness, doing some sports is a really great way to get into the flow. Disconnect from the troubles of life, get the body moving, get the heart rate moving, and relaxation. I'm sure there's been many times that you've been thinking about something to do, and the moment you relax, get into bed and start feeling quiet, then the answer suddenly comes. Action. No matter how much you imagined your ideal outcome, it will not materialize without some kind of action. That's very unfortunate truth of this reality, but we must have a good relationship with action and tap into that masculine energy and do action. You've got into the flow, you've done your meditation, you've got your inspiration, you've got the idea. Run straight away, write it down, do something. Start the first step. Discipline really helps. So habit building, we'll do a lot of classes on habit building in order to have discipline of good actions in your life. Having a strong why, we'll also do a class on that. We have covered the topic in manifestation alchemy, but we will go into the why because it's so important to keep the drive going. So as an example, this channel, I have to have a very strong why to keep going now at the beginning, when maybe I'm not receiving the right amount of feedback, or maybe I feel, oh, who's even listening, or this or that. But I have to have my why completely separate to the results at the beginning. My why has to be something much, much more to keep going. And your why must be much bigger than seeing results, than seeing rewards at the beginning. Small steps add up to make big changes. Do little steps. A big picture thinking can be very, very overwhelming. You have your vision, divide it into small steps, and just think about a small step at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself with all the things ahead of you. Micro focus to keep going with action and a clear vision. Remember where you're going. Don't, like I said, don't overwhelm yourself with everything, but remember your why and have a clear vision of where you're heading. Acceptance. Now, acceptance is a really important part. So you've got your flow, you've got your inspiration, you've got your action. And then you must accept to the truth in order to get in the flow again and take action. Acceptance and surrender are very similar. As you accept something as it is, you can make peace with it and move forward. Perhaps your action didn't turn out as well as you wished. Perhaps the idea that you had or how it's going to happen simply is not possible. Or other people, other factors prevent it from happening. You must accept this as a fact, without any emotions, without being upset about it. If you're upset about it, if you have some emotions, journal about it. Get it out of you, meditate about it. Feel the feelings and then accept, okay, this is what it is. Surrender to the truth. Surrender to the circumstances. Surrender to the change of what it is. And then make peace with it. You don't need to like it, but you need to be at peace with it. And then move forward. If you don't accept something that is, you resist the truth and usually get stuck, going around in circles, fixated on a particular issue. I'll give an example in which we see this, and probably you may have experienced this yourself. So if a relationship doesn't work out, or a friendship doesn't work out, or a job doesn't work out, and instead of just accepting that it didn't work out, this person, this company didn't like you, or didn't think you're a good fit, for whatever reason, and then surrendering to this fact, accepting it. You might not like it, but you accept, and then you surrender to the change. That this person's not going to be in your life anymore. This company is not going to be in your life anymore. You accept it as the truth. You make peace with it. And then you move forward. But as often happens, people don't want to make peace with it. They keep on saying, why don't you want me? Why don't you like me? What did I do wrong? Maybe keep on coming back, maybe asking questions. And even if they move on from that person, or they move on from that company, this cycle keeps on repeating itself in different scenarios, because the person is resisting the lesson, they're resisting the truth. and they're sort of attracting, or they're making the decisions. So we spoke about the most important slides, the decision making the same decisions to put themselves in the same circumstances, trying with the same kind of people, trying with the same kind of companies, rather than accepting, I don't fit with these people. Okay, there are exceptions. Maybe you will change yourself to fit these people and then you'll have a different result. But that's because you accepted the truth of not fitting in and then actively made the changes. So that still carries the acceptance factor. Spoken quite a long time about this. I think you get the gist of it. But I'm sure we will be revisiting this topic because it's definitely a big one and a big problem that prevents us from moving forward in many areas of our life. And now we are on our second to final slide, which is get your strategy from God. You don't need to have all the answers. You can look to divine inspiration to help you on your transformation journey. Even if you are not Christian, you can read the New Testament to learn about how to love. You can turn to books like the Book of the Way, Tao Te Ching, to learn about ways of life. Turn to the modern philosophers or ones of old for many explanations that you need. Most importantly, you can turn inward to your conscience. Look into your heart to find your moral compass. Part of the topic that we started at the beginning, purifying your motive, purifying your heart, finding the true path for yourself. The answers to these are all around you. All you need to do is set the intention right now to get your strategy, to get your vision from somewhere better than you are now. For me, ultimately, it's God, because God is pure love. It's beyond duality. It's the harmony of the way. If you're not ready to go that high, just something higher than you, a higher vibrational version of you, a more purified, love-aligned version of you. Reach higher. Give your mind this instruction now. Your subconscious will soak it up. Then support it with books, content, philosophies, lectures, images that help you on your transformation journey, that support you, that encompass you in the energy of what you wish to achieve. Ultimate path is love. That is what I wish to finish with. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you, communicating with you in future classes.